What's up, Knights of X, and welcome to this new video where today we'll be going over the best 5v5 teams for the month of October and for the upcoming Grand Arena season. As you guys can see, I am again not at my regular recording area. I'm traveling a ton for work lately, and it's been really hard to get these videos out, but really want to continue and get this content out for you guys. So I'm bringing my equipment on the road, but today we're going to go into the best offensive teams, defensive teams, and flex teams. So there is a little bit of a shakeup to this list because of the recent patch notes. We got two major nerfs, guys. Heath Koff level 9 and Moff Gideon level 9 are no longer working how they used to. That changes the way this list was originally intended to be, but they're going to have their use. They're just not going to be as OP. And also, no more Rolo cheese. So that does change a bit in terms of the meta. So Leia is going to be back on defense, but I have a little bit of a hybrid team that I came up with so that we can maybe move some of the other characters to some other teams. But before we get into the list, just a reminder, guys, hit that subscribe button. Helps out the channel tremendously, and I appreciate all the support you guys give me. So that being said, let's get into the list. Alright guys, so starting out for the best defensive teams list, we have to start with the most broken team in the game, and that is Great Mothers. And full disclosure, guys, this might not be the best team for Squad Arena with all of the, Death Trooper Peridia or Night Trooper. We're trying to best utilize these teams where their homes are meant to be. So for Grand Arena, I'm recommending Great Mothers with this lineup. It involves Great Mothers, Morgan Elsbeth, Spirit, Acolyte, and Marin. Now, taking Marin out of a Mother Talzin team is pretty big, but they can still perform pretty well without Marin. But I do think that Marin adds a little bit more defensive viability with the debuffs and the cleansing, and I do think Marin is pretty strong, but it doesn't split up the other team too bad. And lately, I've been using Night Sisters with my Sith Eternal. It's kind of like a hybrid kind of thing, using Daka and Zombie for cheeses, so I do like this split a little bit better, and it doesn't break up the Captain Enoch team, which is why I did not include Death Trooper Peridia. But if you guys have Great Mothers, especially if you have that crazy level 9 Datacron, this goes on defense, guys. Without a doubt, have to put it on defense. Then my next team I think is going to be really strong for defense, and this was my counter Rolo cheese. But since the Rolo cheese isn't a thing anymore, I still think it's going to be strong because the Sabine level 9 is very tough, guys. So what I did here was I removed Drogon out of the lineup because I have plans for him elsewhere, but I put R2, Old Ben, Baze, and Sabine, and Baze is there as a pre-taunter, so I could possibly slow down Kylo if you're using Kylo on offense, and they won't be able to target Sabine, which is why I put Baze here. But it's just kind of like a weird Leia comp, guys, but I do think this will be pretty strong if you have the Sabine level 9. So that's why I'm recommending it on defense. Then next up, guys, I do think Rey with the 4 attacker, Kron, and Nest will be a staple again this season, and it might be able to stop a Mon Mothma team if you get stuck on Nest. Possibly. It all depends on how that battle goes, but I'm going to try using Mon Mothma on offense against Rey this season. But I do think if you throw a Nest with an attacker Kron in the level 9, you are at a risk of timing out because you might not be able to you might generate too much turn meter, and the Nest might never take a turn, and you time out, and that's a win for your opponent. So I do think if you are going to set Rey this season, break up that CLS team, put Han and Chewie with Ben and Nest, and you're going to get a lot of holes. You're going to have to use a very strong team to take out Rey if they set this. Then next up, guys, I have Jabba. I do think Jabba is a very big defensive staple GL. Very tough to get through. You have the support Kron, which is very tough. The attacker Kron, which is very tough. Then you even have potentially the new set where you can have a high tenacity Jabba, and that shuts down Lord Vader. It shuts down a ton of counters that involve applying debuffs. So be very cautious if your opponent sets a Jabba team with the newer set that has high defense and high tenacity. It can shut down a lot of counters, but you have a lot to play with. If you guys don't have any of the new set and you have the original, set a support Kron or set an attacker Kron, and this team will do just fine. So absolutely a defensive staple this season. Next up, guys, I have Queen Amidala, and I do like Queen Amidala on defense because it does require a very strong team to take out, and I find Bane to be very unreliable at times, depending if they have high defense. And specifically, I am setting this team right here because this will stop the droid cheese, which is, if you have modded correctly, Dark Trooper can one-shot the entire team. But if you throw in Shock T, she generates turn meter every time your team is getting hit, which will completely slow down that train. So that's why Shock T with Echo will stop the droid counter. And that's why, in my opinion, I will be setting this Queen Amidala version team on defense. Most likely with a support cron, and my support cron with the highest defense, because that could potentially stop Bane. If you have a high defensive support cron, Bane's going to have some trouble. So that's why I'm setting Queen on defense, and this is the team that I'm going with. Next up, guys, I have this Saw team, and I finally did it. I applied the Omicron, guys. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I just did it because it's very, very annoying to get through on defense. The cooldown increase, keep burning, the stagger, and all the extra stats you get from the Omicron. I just did it, guys. But the defensive team I'm recommending for this set is going to be Saw, Luthen, Drogon, Scarif, Rebel Pathfinder, and Captain Rex. And with this, guys, you can use either the new set, but support cron is going to be very, very strong still with this team, guys. I put in Scarif, Rebel Pathfinder in there just to throw a tank, just to be, and it has a Rogue One tag, so that potentially if you're using a new set, you get either the damage reduction or the Wardy level 6. It'll be very tough to get through Scarif, Rebel Pathfinder. You're going to have to use a very strong team to take this out. And if he has damage reduction on a tank, even harder, guys. So even if you're using the old set or the new set, this team is going to be very strong, and I'm recommending it on defense for you guys. I know it breaks up Leia, but I think Drogon is going to hit really, really hard. So that's why I want to do that split. Then, guys, Gungan's very, very annoying team. I know their viability went down a little bit with the previous set going away, but they're still very, very strong, guys. I lost to Gungans last season. Tried doing a Mon Mothma team, it didn't work out, so they still require a strong team. Traya might be the best go-to for this, but still, you guys have Jar Jar, and you have Omicrons applied. Throw it on defense, guys. It's going to require a pretty good team. Next up, guys, I do have the Finn team with Zori, and sometimes I see opponents with the Rose Omicron, so you can throw in Rose in there. You cannot take a resistance team lightly, because if they get their turn meter train rolling, you're not going to take a turn, and you're just done. So you got to bring in a strong team. Probably Dr. Afra's really good, or maybe Starkiller, which is a really expensive team. But I do think that Finn is a very strong team, very good on defense, and I'm recommending it for 5v5. Then, guys, what I have here is I have Keller and Beck, and I originally had this in the flex because when I was testing with this, guys, with this lineup here, I was able to take out so many GLs. I was able to take out Leia in Squad Arena. I was able to take out Kylo. You get so much turn meter from the Foresight, but unfortunately they nerfed it. I think it only works if they didn't have Foresight already, so they're no longer going to get that turn meter. But I do think it's going to be strong on defense. This split helps me to make another team with Qui-Gon Jinn, so that's why I did this specific lineup, so I can keep two teams intact, which I think is very, very helpful. If you guys don't want to do that, by all means, combine Qui-Gon with Keller and Beck and possibly Ethkoff. You got one really strong team. But I think even if you do that, it's going to get JML'd. So you might as well split it up, get your opponent to use it on one of them, and then you have another really strong team on the side. So I do recommend this Keller and Beck team with the Ethkoff level 9. I think it's really, really strong. Then, guys, we do have Trench with Watt, and this is specifically with the Watt level 9 and the support cron. I do think Trench is very, very strong on defense. Probably could take out some good stuff on offense, but still, if you place this on the front wall and your opponent tries to underestimate a Trench, it's going to go really poorly for them. So keep your opponent guessing. Have them get through those mid teams, not the really hard teams in the front. Have them overestimate, and then they might get stuck in something in the back. So Trench is perfect at that. It's a balance between not overshotting or overkilling, and then you don't want to underkill it because it's going to cost you. So Trench is going on defense for me. And then last up, guys, I have the Tuskens. And Tuskens, I just think, are so annoying. If you don't have the right team, they can just completely throw away your Grand Arena victory. It's happened to me before. You got to use Treya. Treya is almost a guarantee, I think. Rogue One does not seem to work for me for some reason, but maybe I just used a really bad Datacron. But regardless, Tuskens are very, very annoying, and I do think they have a place on defense this season. That's going to conclude the defensive list, where I think these are staples on defense, and I now go into what, in my opinion, is the staples on offense. Alright guys, so first on this list, very obvious Bane with either Assassin or Sith Empire Trooper. Very, very strong. Gonna be an offensive staple for the rest of Grand Arena's eternity. The difference with Sith Empire Trooper and Assassin is, I guess, depending on the team you're going against. If you're going against the Queen Amidala, I find Sith Empire Trooper to be more helpful. Helps you able to get not targeted as easily or blown up as quick. So I do think that if you use either of these two, you're going to be fine with certain comps, but automatically an offensive staple. Then next up, guys, I have Inquisitors with Reva lead. I do think they're better on offense because they might be able to take out JMK or some of those other strong Jedi Crons, because we are experiencing a Jedi set. So I do think Inquisitors have more value on offense than defense, especially if they can get Phoenix, guys. You don't want to set Inquisitors just to get Phoenix. That is the worst feeling in the world. Inquisitors, I do think, in my opinion, need to stay on offense this season. Then, guys, this team that I can't take the credit for, I was recommended by my comment section, so I do appreciate it. But this team right here is going to be your Great Mother killer, guys. You need an attacker cron, though. This will, if I have an opponent that has Great Mothers, this will probably be my go-to, because I want to be able to use my JMK for other things. So I do think that this cheese works really well. I kind of want to test. I need to do a little bit more squad arena testing. I wonder if you could just do this with just crew lead and Kylo, just the 2-man underman, because they generate so much turn meter that Kylo's taking all those turns. I've had it where the other 3 characters aren't doing anything. Maybe you need Hux for the advantage for the turn meter, so maybe a 3-man, but I'll do more testing and I'll let you guys know. But regardless, offensive staple for sure. Then, guys, we have a Star Killer team, and Star Killer has so much value on offense, where he can take out a bunch of Galactic Legends, a bunch of very strong Conquest or Epic Confrontation characters, and he's really good at banners, guys. You finish the battle with ult, you're going to be at 65, which is what you need. You need those high banners, so I do think Star Killer has more valuability on offense than defense this season. I'm recommending him there. Then we got Afra, guys, and Afra on defense, just, it's not too strong, especially if they have a nice dash team with Han or Chewie, or a CLS team. They just target her and she goes down quick, and they can't get their turn meter train or their crazy high damage going. So Afra might be able to take out some, maybe possibly some Jabbas, some Finns, or some other strong teams. I think Afra is definitely an offensive staple this strength. Then, guys, we have the Droid Nuke team, and this could potentially be my go-to Queen Amidala counter this season. Depending if the Kron has too much defense, I do think defense does put a little bit of a stop on this team, unfortunately. But if my opponent does not have a high defense, probably going to use this against Queen. I want to try it out and see if it works. It allows me to place a little bit stronger defense, so I am recommending the Droid Nuke team on offense. Then, guys, we have Sith Eternal. You can always do a Sith Eternal solo against Malgus, Gas, or any of those other strong teams. But if you are going against a very strong team, throw in the Night Sisters, guys. You could throw in Night Sisters and just possibly use a Night Sister Zombie Kron and have a very strong team there. So that is I do think Sith Eternal is very, very good on offense, so that's why I'm recommending him there. Hey guys, JML, and this is going to be my JML lineup that I'm going to be using for, I guess, probably maybe a Lord Vader or maybe a Leia. We'll see. I'm not sure. But the Keller and Beck team, we have to see. But I do think that JML has way more valuability, or way more just offensive gameplay. I do think that he's good at banners, very good at taking out strong teams, and I do recommend JML on offense because he's just very, very strong. Here, guys, I do have the Night Sister lineup, and I did throw in Marin in here just in case you guys don't have Great Mothers. You can always use Marin with Night Sisters. They do have a Datacron where they can take out a bunch. I'm good at taking out CLS. Gotta find out some cool tricks with the Night Sister Zombie level 9. I'm sure she can do some pretty cool stuff or take out some strong teams. So they're very good at banners with Marin. They have the protection recovery with Plague. So I do think Night Sisters are making a comeback on offense this season. And guys, this team right here, I want to try this out. This is kind of like, I want to try to be able to split the team up a bit without using Luthen. So I want to put Luthen on defense with Saw, and I want to try this Mon Mothma comp against a potential Rey with the PAL level 9. I don't know how it'll be impacted with a Nest. I really am nervous about that. But if you guys get enough turn meter going, Rey might not be able to might take one turn, and your units are going to get a lot of health and protection, so they might be able to survive a whirlwind. We're going to have to test that, but I do think this will be a very strong team on offense, and you're going to take out a lot, especially if you get that turn meter training going, guys. This is going to be the Mon Mothma team to go for. And guys, we got Rogue One, and if you guys have the Rogue One Wordy level 6 or the damage reduction, you're going to do really good things. And if your opponent sets Dark Trooper Moff Gideon on defense, probably going to work really well against it. I do think that Rogue One is a great counter to it, and that's why I will be using Rogue One on offense, and you might be able to take out some other pretty strong stuff, so we're going to have to play around and test it. That leads me to Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. I know that he was nerfed. It does suck, but I do think that it'll have a better value on offense than defense, because you can get Rogue One, you can get Malgust. There are other options that could take out Dark Trooper Moff Gideon a little bit easier, and I do think you'll have a better time on offense than defense. And that concludes the offensive list. Now we're going to get into the flex category, where you can either set it on defense or offense, and you're going to find its use. So let's get into that. Alright guys, getting into the 5v5 flex category. First one we're going to start with is JMK with Low, and no Kenobi in this lineup. I want to save Kenobi for another team, but this is going to find use on defense and offense. You're going to take out a ton. This could also take out Great Mothers, guys. I've had it where I can just remove the taunt on Morgan, get rid of Great Mothers right away, and then you got to slowly just clean them up. So depending on what your opponent has, defense or offense for Kenobi, going to be one of the stronger teams this season, especially if you have the Pole level 9. Going to be really, really important, and this is the lineup I'm going to go with. Then guys, if you do want to use Leia on offense and not set it on defense and combine your Rogue One team, this is a Leia cheese where you can just put stealth on everybody and then target Jyn, and then she can't go down because if Raddus is alive, he's not able to go down. So this is a very good cheese. You can take out Rey, you can take out Lord Vader, do a mirror match. Very, very strong, guys. But it does split up the team, so that's the only downfall. But if you have a really strong team that you need to get through, you need a little bit of a cheese, this is the Leia team to go for, and that's going to be the offensive team that I would use. Hey guys, we do have a Seer lineup here, and I put Crew out of this list specifically for the Great Mothers counter. But if your opponent doesn't have Great Mothers and you want to use Crew here, 100% use Crew. Very, very makes the team a defensive staple if you have that pre-taunt tank, and very, very strong. But if you're using it on offense, you can use Night Sister because she's not really used in an Inquisitor team that often. Or if you guys wailed out on Shin, maybe try using Shin here on offense. Maybe you can, that AoE damage can be pretty good, or putting stealth on your team, or doing some crazy mechanics. You might be able to ramp up your damage. So, something to play around with, but I do think that this team will be pretty strong on offense and defense. And guys, we have Bo, and Bo is great on offense, has great use, can take out a ton of teams. I love the Bo Mandalore team, very, very strong. But even on defense, guys, you can't take it lightly. Like, you can get timed out on how much defense they're stacking with their unique buff, and it's just a very strong team, guys. So if you guys have a use for it on offense, 100% use it there. If not, throw it on defense, guys. It's going to require a really strong team. Then here I have General Grievous, and then we have the Staff variation, where if you have the Omicron, this team has cost me Grand Arenas before. I've lost with GLs. They just get a crazy amount of turn meter, and they hit for over like 500,000 damage. It's crazy. So have a plan for it. Let's see it on defense. Don't take it lightly. Using it on offense, you're going to take it on a lot of teams. So it really depends on your game plan. Next up, guys, we have Malgus. And Malgus, I think, has so much value in both offense and defense because he can take out so many teams. Reva, Gideon, just other Trench, other really strong teams. And if you throw him on defense, you have the tank revive, he's a pain, especially if Malik in there. You gotta get through them twice. This will shut down, that Kron shuts down the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis counter. So if you have a purpose for Malgus on offense, use him there. If not, you want to set it on defense, your opponent's going to have to use most likely a GL or some other really strong team to get through him. So all depends on your game plan. Then guys, we have the Treya team, and again, same thing as Malgus, has a ton of use on offense, can take out so many teams, but on defense, it almost requires a GL to take it out. Almost requires. I'm sure there's some other teams that can take it out, but for the most part, you're going to need a GL to take out this Treya lineup. It is just way too strong. So, again, wherever you use it, you're going to find value, but that's the lineup you need to get. And guys, my next is Qui-Gon Jinn, and this is where I did the split from the Keller and Beck team. I had the Qui-Gon lead with Anakin, Ki-Adi-Mundi. I put in General Kenobi there and Barriss with the Barriss level 9. That is going to be my plan for this team. We're going to see how it goes. Might have to combine it into one super strong team, but for the beginning, I'm going to play around with it, and I'm going to see how this does on offense. Me, personally. But I do think it'll have its use on defense. I don't know if Bad Batch can get through this variation. We're going to have to test it, but regardless, I think it's going to be pretty strong in either mode. Then guys, we have Lord Vader, and Lord Vader's a weird one this season because with Tenacity going, I usually use him for Jabba, but even with a support Kron, it's risky. You don't land that buff immunity, and it just can be really, really annoying. I did used to use this cheese against Kenobi with the Padme. Don't know how that's going to work against the Plo, so we have to try it out against that. I'll probably do some squad arena testing before, but regardless, I do think this is the go-to Lord Vader lineup without breaking too many teams. I don't really use Imperial Troopers anymore, so I do put Piet in there. It makes the team a ton stronger. So this will be my Lord Vader lineup, and you're going to find use on offense and defense. Next up, guys, we have Gas, and you have a ton of options for Gas this season. He is a Jedi, so if you have a Jedi Stun Kron, very, very strong there. Even if you have Retaliate, he is a tank when he has his pre-taunt, with his stance. So if they hit him, they're going to get him lower. I do think that the stun is better, but you guys have options. A lot of options here. You have the support Kron, you have the attacker Kron, you have the new Jedi Kron. Gas is going to be pretty strong. So regardless on offense or defense, he's going to require a really strong team. Highly recommend him this season. And then last, guys, to finish up this list, I'm throwing in Enoch with Death Trooper, Night Trooper, Stormtrooper, and Dark Trooper. That's going to be my split for the Imperial Remnant. I do think you are going to want to add a tank here, so that's why I'm putting Stormtrooper. The other Dark Trooper Moff Gideon lineup, he's a tank, so you'll be fine without throwing another one in there, in my opinion. But with the Enoch level 9, this guy's going to be able to take out GLs. He's going to be really tough on defense. So if you guys have this team farmed up and geared and relicked, good for you. You're going to have its use. But that is going to be it, guys. That is going to be my 5v5 list for the October season, and I can't wait to try it out. I've missed Grand Arena. It's felt like forever, so I'm excited to make some more videos, try some more counters, and hopefully you guys are excited too. So if you guys found some good teams, if you have any opinions, let me know. These are all my opinions, preliminary, about what I think the new season is going to be like, and I do think that these are going to be the best teams for me. So leave a like, comment down below your opinions on the teams, and subscribe to the channel to become a Knight of X. And I will see you guys in the first round of Grand Arena 5v5, and hopefully we have a lot better season. So good luck, guys, and may the